WrestleMania 42 is only a few days away, and needless to say, WWE has done a pretty bad job with the build. I'm mainly talking about the Pat McAfee versus Jelly Roll feud, because that's essentially what it is at this point. But all of that discourse made me realize that this weekend is really important for WWE. They need to book WrestleMania 42 right, or they're gonna lose a lot more fans than they did last year after the whole Cena versus Cody fiasco. So even though I already did a video discussing my official WrestleMania predictions, that's what I think is gonna happen. Let's now focus on what should happen. I'm Brandon, this is Wrestlin' Talk, and today we're gonna discuss how WWE should book WrestleMania 42. Again, just one last disclaimer, this is not what I think is gonna happen, it's what I want to happen, in order to save this incredibly lackluster build that we've had. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with the opening two matches of night one, which are apparently going to be on ESPN for free. The first match of the show is likely going to be the Usos and LA Knight versus The Vision and IShowSpeed. This is one celebrity feud that WWE has done a pretty good job of booking so far. It's made me realize that the main rule with celebrity involvement in WWE is keep them out of the main event and make sure it's a celebrity who 1000% buys into it. As far as how this match should go down, I think the predictable outcome is the right one here. You definitely need the babyfaces winning. However, throughout this whole feud, IShowSpeed has only been involved reluctantly. He's only accidentally attacked LA Knight and the Usos. So even though he is on Team Vision for this match, I actually think this would be a great opportunity to turn him full on babyface. Or at the very least, have him accidentally cost the Vision the win. So instead of hitting LA Knight with the knuckles, he turns around and hits Logan Paul with them instead. That way the babyfaces win, IShowSpeed gets a big pop, we kind of bookend this story that's been going on for the past few weeks, and then the match plants the seeds for, who knows, IShowSpeed versus Logan Paul down the line, which I could absolutely see happening, and honestly, I'd be down. Logan Paul is a full-on wrestler, and IShowSpeed, apart from being athletic as hell, has also fully bought into WWE, so I'm cool with it. Do I want it to be for a world title? No. But I can absolutely see it happening. Moving on to the second match that's on ESPN for free, and that's Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu in an unsanctioned match. I think we all know that Jacob is going to win here. He's the babyface, Drew's the heel. Apparently Drew's got to go away for a while to film a Highlander reboot with Henry Cavill. But why not set up his next feud during this match? What do I mean by that? I mean Nick Aldis getting involved. Even though this is an unsanctioned match, I think these two guys should go at it in such a brutal way. There should be so much blood and so much carnage that SmackDown GM Nick Aldis can't help but get involved to try to pull these guys apart and just try to calm things down a little. And when he does, Drew McIntyre should Claymore the hell out of him. Just full on lay Nick Aldis out before Jacob Fatu inevitably gets the win, and then Drew McIntyre goes away to film the Highlander reboot, but when he comes back, there is a match with Nick Aldis waiting for him. Maybe it happens at SummerSlam or Clash in Italy. That is absolutely a match that I want to see, and WWE should plant the seeds for it at WrestleMania. Moving on to the rest of night one, which are going to be behind the ESPN app paywall. Let's start off with AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the IC title. It feels obvious that Becky is going to beat AJ here, especially after that backstage interview segment they had on Raw, when AJ kept saying she was proud of Becky and Becky just didn't want to hear it. I feel like that's going to be the angle that they take in this match. In order to give AJ Lee a protected loss, I think Becky is going to cheat to win here. I do think she's going to somehow attack Jessica Carr, and while she's knocked out, I think Becky should pull out some brass knuckles or something and lay AJ Lee out. But before she does, we should all see AJ Lee mouth the words, "I'm proud of you," and that stops Becky right in her tracks. She's conflicted, she doesn't know what to do, but she takes the shot anyway, pins AJ Lee, becomes the IC champion, but there's a different look on her face. She's a bit disappointed in herself. And this is where it gets even better, because on the Raw after WrestleMania, Becky Lynch should come out for a promo. Adam Pearce interrupts her, says that he knows she cheated during the match, so because of that, she's going to have an IC title defense tonight. And her opponent is going to be Io Sky. On the Raw after Mania, we get Io Sky versus Becky Lynch. Io Sky gets the win. Now Io Sky is the new IC champion. AJ Lee is going to be off TV until most likely SummerSlam or Evolution if WWE does that this year. And now this different, conflicted version of Becky Lynch can go off to do something else. To me, that's what I want to see. Option 2, though, is Paige returns and helps AJ Lee retain. Because I totally think Paige is going to come back soon, so why not at WrestleMania? Moving on to the Women's Tag Team Fatal 4-Way. Because this match has so many competitors in it, I would like them to use this opportunity to set up some other stories that are going to happen after WrestleMania. Mainly with Charlexa. When it comes to the Bellas, I think this should just be a situation where they're in the match, they come up short, they have to keep trying to win the women's tag titles. When it comes to Nia and Lash, I feel like they lose this match so that after Mania they can go off to do something else, preferably chasing singles titles. However, when it comes to Charlexa, I feel like their time going after the tag titles has probably run its course. At this point, I think the most interesting thing to do is to start to tell the story of them falling out of friendship. And I know not all tag teams need to end in betrayal or a big fight, but not all of them do. Look at Rio, that tag team ended on great terms. So I don't think it's an overused trope in this instance. And I'm not even saying one of them is going to turn heel on the other during this match. Because what if during this match, the reason Charlexa loses is because one of them makes a mistake. There's a miscommunication and Charlotte accidentally takes Alexa out. That way, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria can get the win, which I think they need given what didn't happen at WrestleMania last year. And then coming off of Mania, we can start to plant the seeds of Charlotte and Alexa not really getting along. They can start losing more and more matches, eventually leading to Alexa Bliss full-on turning heel on Charlotte Flair. I think Alexa Bliss needs a heel turn. Her character's been a bit stale recently, whereas Charlotte Flair I think should absolutely stay a babyface. It is such a pleasant surprise that her babyface turn worked so well. So I think come SummerSlam or maybe Evolution if WWE does that, we get Charlotte versus Alexa, no title on the line, just a singles feud. And I think WWE should start planting the seeds for that at Mania. Next up is Seth Rollins versus Gunther. I think we all know what's going to happen here. Braun Breaker returns, lays Seth Rollins out, Gunther gets the win. That way after Mania, Gunther's looking strong, Braun Breaker versus Seth can happen at like Backlash or something. It makes sense, it's predictable, but I don't hate it. And honestly, I can't think of a more interesting way that this match can go down. So yeah, let's just go with that. But maybe throw in a moment where Braun Breaker's just staring daggers at Gunther too, just to solidify the fact that they're not friends, Braun Breaker is not doing this for Gunther, and maybe down the line we get Braun versus Gunther in a match. Moving on to Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan. This is a situation where I believe WWE has put themselves in a no-lose scenario. Whether Stephanie or Liv wins, I feel like the fans are going to be behind it, because both stars are popular and there's a lot of story opportunities you can have after Mania. Mainly with Liv Morgan, because you could do her versus Raquel or her versus Roxanne for the title, and I think those would be great stories, but I don't think they need the world title. I would rather see those feuds set up outside of the title scene. So during this match, I think Roxanne Perez should turn heel on Liv Morgan, standing in solidarity with Finn Balor, who brought her into Judgment Day. And then while she's attacking Liv, I think Raquel Rodriguez should attack Roxanne Perez. Get her out of the ring, showing that she is not with Roxanne. But then, while Liv Morgan is struggling to get to her feet, Raquel pauses, and in that moment she remembers that Liv Morgan eliminated her from the Rumble, and in that moment Raquel makes a split-second decision to lay out Liv Morgan, finishing what Roxanne just started. Stephanie pins Liv, retains the World Championship, and now after WrestleMania you have Roxanne, Raquel, and Liv Morgan all on opposing sides. There's so much you can do outside of the title scene. And then for Stephanie Vaquer, you can do other matches and set up other feuds. Stephanie versus Becky Lynch, AJ Lee, Asuka. I think that would be the most interesting thing WWE could do. Now don't get me wrong, it's a no-lose situation. If Liv pins Stephanie, and then afterwards we start planting the seeds for Liv versus Raquel and Roxanne, I think that works too, but in this moment, I feel like Stephanie should retain, and then I think Liv Morgan versus Raquel and or Roxanne should happen outside of the title scene. Now let's move on to the night one main event. Oh boy. Cody versus Randy, or should I say, Jelly Roll versus Pat McAfee. This is what should happen. At the beginning of the match, Cody Rhodes lays Pat McAfee out, Randy Orton does the same to Jelly Roll, both of them are taken out on a stretcher, and then we just get Cody versus Randy one-on-one for the next 20 minutes. We forget that the past few weeks even happened. Or if they don't want to do that, have Pat McAfee attack Cody Rhodes, and then Jelly Roll comes down, attacks Pat McAfee, the two of them fight outside of the ring and up the ramp, and then we're back to Cody versus Randy. Do not, and I mean do not, have Pat McAfee get involved in the actual finish. Did you not learn from what happened last year? It should just be Cody versus Randy, and as much as I want Cody to win so then Pat McAfee never shows up on WWE again, I also think that Randy Orton winning is a more interesting outcome than Cody. So even though that would keep Pat McAfee in the loop for a little bit, I feel like the thing to do is have Randy beat Cody, win number 15, which I think all fans would love, and then after WrestleMania, have Randy turn on Pat McAfee and just get him out of here. And then eventually do a Cody versus Randy match where you focus on the story, the history, the legacy between these two guys. Because the fact that they looked at this story and said, we need to make this Celebrity Mania, is baffling to me. So that's what I think should happen in night one. Let's go on to night two. Starting off with the opener, which is going to be on ESPN, Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. What will happen is most likely a double DQ or a double countout, where both guys go crazy, they're flipping over tables, they're fighting outside the ring, both of them get knocked out, the ref counts to 10, neither of them get up, no one wins, 50-50 booking. To me, that doesn't do anyone any good. The actual thing that WWE should do here is have Obafemi win. Have it be a genuine contest between King Kong and Godzilla. Both guys are getting all of their big moves in, but at the end of the day, Obafemi wins. And then afterwards, maybe we tell an interesting story with Brock Lesnar for once? Maybe Brock comes out the next night on Raw and he doesn't know if he can hang with the younger generation anymore. And then enter Gunther. Between the Raw after Mania and SummerSlam, we can set up a story between Gunther and Brock Lesnar. Gunther is riding high after beating Seth Rollins. Brock Lesnar is at an all-time low after losing to Obafemi. And we can tell an interesting story where Gunther is getting in Brock Lesnar's head. It would be awesome if WWE actually wants to do it and not just have Brock Lesnar be the same guy he's always been for the past 20 years. The double DQ thing I don't think is a satisfying ending to this match that has so much hype behind it. Obafemi needs to win, and then from there, Brock Lesnar will be fine. He's lost before. It's not like his aura is gonna go down in the slightest. Anyway though, moving on to the 6-man IC title ladder match. This is a situation where I don't think there's going to be any genuine surprises in the match. I think it's just going to be really good, really fun, really chaotic. But honestly, looking at this lineup, I think Javon Evans should win here. It's his first WrestleMania. I think a big win would do wonders for him. And even though I love Penta and would like to see him retain, I also don't know where he goes after Mania if he retains. He's already faced most of the Raw mid-card on TV. So after Mania, I feel like Penta should be in a non-title feud. Javon Evans should get the win here. Moving on to Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams for the US title. This is another situation where I think WWE is doing everything right. Sami Zayn is the heel in this feud, although he doesn't think he's a heel. Trick Williams is being Trick Williams, who kind of has a heel energy, but the crowd loves him and they're leaning into that, so he's the babyface here. And I think that's exactly how this match should go. Sami Zayn is trying to be the babyface, but everyone's booing him. Trick Williams is just being Trick Williams, which is kind of a heel, and everyone's loving him. And that just grinds Sami Zayn's gear so much that during the match, he turns full-on heel. And after that, you would think he comes away with the win. Absolutely not. This is Trick Williams' first WrestleMania. He needs the win here. Trick Williams beats Sami Zayn, the crowd loves him, but after Mania, don't turn him into a full-on babyface. Keep him the exact same Trick Williams that we're seeing right now. But yeah, as long as Trick Williams wins here, I'm happy. I think everyone's happy. I actually think this is a genuinely entertaining mid-card feud. Moving on to Demon Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. I'm just gonna say it, this needs to be a squash match. No longer than 5 minutes. This is the first time we've seen the Demon since WrestleMania 39, a match that he should have won. And then before that, it was Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules, and that match effectively buried the character. So I don't see any reason why WWE would bring the Demon back just to lose. And similar to WrestleMania 34, where we got Cena versus The Undertaker, but it was effectively a squash match because the people behind the scenes basically thought that this wasn't the place to have a 20-minute banger. That's my opinion for this match. Because this is the Demon's first match in years, I don't think this is the place for a 20-minute competitive banger. The Demon needs to absolutely destroy Dominic Mysterio in under 5 minutes, and then after WrestleMania at like Backlash or something like that, we can actually get a competitive match between these two. But for WrestleMania 42, I don't think the match needs to be this big thing. Short and sweet is the way to go. Finn Balor needs this win way more than Dom does. Moving on to Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. This is the match I am most torn on. Because looking at the story that WWE is telling, it makes sense for Rhea Ripley to win. Jade Cargill has been effectively dominating her for the past few weeks. She teamed with B-Fab and Michin and took Rhea out one week. Then another week, Jade Cargill beat Io Sky in front of Rhea when she couldn't do anything. And then the following week, Jade Cargill beat Io Sky clean. It doesn't make sense for Jade Cargill to be riding all of that momentum leading into Mania, and then at Mania she just beats Rhea and that's it. From a narrative standpoint, that's not really satisfying, and it also makes Rhea Ripley kinda look weak, which is why I feel like we're gonna get a return of Bianca Belair here. Even if she's not medically cleared, I feel like Bianca can show up, run Michin and B-Fab out of the ring, leaving the door open for Rhea to get the win over Jade, and then that would be a narratively satisfying conclusion where Rhea finally gets one over on Jade, who has been dominating this feud for the past few weeks. However, then I look at after Mania. And if we're talking about after Mania, to me, it's more interesting if Jade is the champion instead. Because after Mania, you can do Jade versus Charlotte, Jade versus Alexa, a triple threat with all three, Jade versus Tiffany in a rematch, and then of course you can eventually get to Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair. If Rhea wins the title, you probably wouldn't do her versus Charlotte or Tiffany or Alexa. Her competition on SmackDown would pretty much just be Nia Jax, Lash Legend, which is definitely a match I want to see, and then like Chelsea Green, Jordan Grace, that kind of thing. Her prospects aren't really exciting. And also, given the story with Io Sky where Rhea just can't seem to beat her, there is a part of me that thinks Rhea shouldn't win a world title unless she beats Io Sky first. I think Rhea as a character needs to conquer that first before winning a championship. But would WWE see things like that? Probably not. So this is why I'm torn. From a narrative standpoint, in the moment watching WrestleMania, I want Rhea to win. But coming out of WrestleMania, I feel like Jade should win, just because there's a lot more interesting matchups. If I had to pick one right now, I'm gonna go with Rhea winning. I think it's more satisfying, especially if she gets help from Bianca Belair, which I think she might. And then after Mania, you can set up Jade versus Bianca with no title on the line. Again, similar to Charlotte versus Alexa or Liv versus Raquel, you don't need all of these feuds to be for titles. And then afterwards, you can do Rhea versus Lash Legend right off the bat, and Rhea could lose that match. She doesn't need to hold on to the title very long. But I feel like for WrestleMania, it would make more sense and be more narratively satisfying if Rhea goes over, even if for the long term it's not the most exciting thing. And lastly, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. I feel like the Usos should get involved in this match because that's when this feud was the most interesting. When it was just promo versus promo and a couple of brawl segments, I wasn't that invested, but when the Usos got involved, I was. So I feel like during this match, the Usos should come out to the ring ready to interfere, and Roman Reigns should shoo them away, saying, no, I gotta do this on my own. Even that little involvement, I think, would add to the gravity of this match. And at the end of the day, I think Roman should win. CM Punk has held the title for a while now. I think Roman winning would feel different and feel like a kind of shot in the arm to Monday Night Raw. And after WrestleMania, I would like to see Roman Reigns go on one last little title reign before probably dropping it to Braun Breaker. So honestly, during this match, I would like to see CM Punk lean a bit heel. Let's see Punk start to take some shortcuts, and maybe towards the end of the match when he gets really desperate, have him hit Roman with a low blow or a foreign object that the ref doesn't see. Because post WrestleMania, I feel like we can maybe start to lean into a heel CM Punk. Not a full-on heel that needs everyone to boo him, but a CM Punk with an edge. And I think him losing to Roman here will plant the seeds for that. Let's also talk about Io Sky versus Asuka if this match ends up happening. If it does, we all know how this match should and will go, and that is Kairi Sane refusing to attack Io Sky, instead finally standing up to Asuka and attacking her. After that, Io gets the win, puts this Asuka feud to bed, and after Mania we have a babyface Kairi Sane. Hopefully this match happens because Kairi Sane's babyface turn would be a huge WrestleMania moment. But that's it. That's how WWE should book WrestleMania 42, according to me. What do you think though? How should WWE book WrestleMania in order to fix this lackluster build? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.